So, if your Facebook friends are anything like my Facebook friends, everybody and their Aunt Beatrice is talking about Rihanna and Chris Brown. Apparently, Rihanna and Chris Brown have reconnected to release this remix to Rihanna's song Birthday Cake. I don't know Rihanna. I don't know her music. Not like that. I definitely don't know Chris Brown's music like that. And I'm not really here to talk about that, but this collaboration has ensued, this mass speculation. Are they back together? How could she get back together with him after what he did to her? How is it that she can overlook his bout of domestic violence? And etc., ad nauseum. I am a firm believer that unless you know the intricacies of two people's relationship, you can't really form an informed opinion about, whether or not it's right for them to be back together or not. But I can talk to you about my own situation. So, during the time, hold on, y'all. During one of the times that David and I were on a break, I had met a guy whom I am going to call Austin. Austin and I met because he was dating a friend of mine, and it was a long distance relationship, and me and my friend lived long distance from each other, so it was like 3 separate points within America. But he was dating a friend of mine, and due to extenuating circumstances ended up coming to live with me, and we ended up sleeping together, and thus began our relationship. I am not proud of this. Believe me, I am not, but nonetheless, that's how it happened. So, Austin started out like any other, relationship would. A lot of romance and a lot of laughter and really great communication and things of that nature. And things turned ugly probably about a month in. He was talking to his, my friend, who by then knew that he and I were together and obviously wanted nothing to do with me, on the phone. And I was jealous, and I was paying the phone bill, so I tried to disconnect the phone from the wall. And then I felt his foot in the center of my back, and he pushed me to the floor with his foot. That was the first time. And he said he was sorry. Nothing like that had really ever happened to me before. Like, not really. But I knew how much he cared about me, and I knew, that he said he loved me. And I knew what I felt for him. So I figured it was a one-time occurrence. To condense this story a little bit, the violence towards me continued and escalated exponentially. And I found myself in the midst of an abusive relationship. But each time he would beat me, when it was over, my first thought was, what can I do differently? How can I be different? How can I be more of what he needs so that it won't come to this? Because if I could only act right, or do right, or be right, then he wouldn't get so angry. And if he didn't get so angry, then he wouldn't put his hands on me. And if he didn't put his hands on me, then I wouldn't have to hide these bruises or cry or wonder what I was doing so wrong. And this is how the mentality develops. This becomes this is how it becomes I'm nothing with you, but I'm nothing without you. And there's a whole process involved there because it starts with, I know your mother doesn't like me with you, but I love you so much and I just don't understand why she doesn't like me. So maybe you could spend less time with your mother. I know your friends don't think I'm the right guy for you. So maybe you can hang around your friends less so that we could spend more time together because I love you so much. And I bought into it, lock, stock, and barrel. And slowly but surely, I began withdrawing from society. My world became centered around him. And from waking up in the morning to going to bed at night, every moment in between those two events became centered around him. He was a hypersexual person. I would now say psychosexual. To the extent that I had to sleep with him somewhere between 4 and 7 times a day. Every day. Every day. And on the few rare events that I would decline, I was assaulted. And one of my most vivid memories, and I'm really giving up the ghost here because if it wasn't 6:54 in the morning and I had no sleep, I would never ever say this out loud. But if you're offended by sensitive subjects, you should probably skip ahead about 30 seconds, starting now. One of the worst occurrences that happened between he and I had developed laryngitis. And it was just this freak thing because it was the middle of summer. And I had no voice. I mean, no voice. When I would try to talk, it was like Barry White. And I couldn't, the only way I could really get some intonation and inflection in my voice was to whisper. It was probably about, I want to say maybe 2:30 in the afternoon, and he wanted sex. And I was tired and I was sore because, I mean, easily by that point we'd probably already had sex 3 times a day, and for the 3rd time, so we'd be going into number 4 right now. And all I wanted to do was kind of run a bath or pick up a book or go to this cyber cafe around the corner from where I was living and just kind of be. So needless to say, I mean, I expressed that I didn't want to. He began assaulting me. I mean, he. I tried to scream. And I had no voice. I had no voice. This is a telling phrase. Y'all should pay attention to it. I had no voice. I had gotten to the place in my life where I no longer had a voice. Through the grace of God, I ended that relationship after a time when I really believed that he was going to end my life. And I'm telling y'all this to kind of bring it back to the Chris Brown and Rihanna situation. Because I don't know if they're back together or not. I know that there were times when Austin and I would tell him I can't do this anymore, I can't be with you anymore, and really feel that, and then his tears would come, and his apologies would come, and flowers would come, and these heartfelt declarations of affection would come, and I would fall right back into it. So, with that being said, I don't know that Rihanna and Chris Brown are together or back together. I don't know this. But here's what I know. Musical artists, at least those who are fortunate enough not to be, pulled like marionette strings, who are not being puppets for the machine, tend to pour their emotions into their work. I think that Mary J. Blige is a perfect example of somebody whom you can go through her discography and really see where she was at any given point in her life. She sings her heart on her sleeve. So wherever emotional place that she's been at has generally come out in a corresponding album. And if Rihanna's work is any indication of that, post the beating that occurred between her and Chris Brown, let me explain to y'all what I have not seen. I have not seen grief. I have not seen resignation. I have not seen acceptance. I have not seen healing. I have not seen empowerment. I have not seen moving forward. I have seen anger. And if you look through her songs, there's anger, and deflection of the actuality of what has happened. And I can get the mentality, and I want y'all to hear me when I say I get the mentality completely that I am not going to be a victim. I am stronger than this. I'm going to take the world by the balls and I'm going to pull. I get it. I promise you I get it. But there is a vulnerability that comes with the realization that this thing happened to me. And it wasn't right. And this is what I have not seen. I've seen, burning the house down, and I've seen S&M, and I've seen, trying to revamp oneself as this, succubus. And so, judging purely on the strength of the music, I don't believe that she's truly gotten to the core of what has happened and gone through the necessary stages to come back to an empowering place. Rihanna could have chose to use this thing to become the face of domestic violence in America. She could have chosen to affiliate herself with hotlines and foundations that are set up in order to protect women. She could have used this as a platform to help women who have also gone through this in their transition back to their actual selves. Because once the thing with me in Austin ended, I really needed to find out and do some very deep soul searching in order to discover, who am I now? Who am I now that this has happened to me? What kind of person do I want to be for somebody else, so that someone else doesn't have to endure what I did? Rihanna has yet to make any of those choices. And granted, she's young, and people can choose to use their celebrity however they see fit. But I stand firmly on the fact that I, or at least my personal fact or my opinion, that I do not see healing. I do not see that a healing has taken place. And a healing has got to take place. Now, what I'm going into at this point is just pure speculation, but if her and Chris Brown are back together, I pray that he's taken the necessary steps so that that day never comes again. I mean, in my own experience, if a man hits you once, chances are he'll hit you again. But I don't know that that's necessarily, you know what I mean? I don't know everyone in the world, so I don't know that that's been the experience for everybody. It certainly has for me. It certainly has for other survivors that I've spoken to. But again, all we can do at this point is pray, at least to that end. But I'm telling you all of this now because if there is one woman who is enduring a physically, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, sexually abusive relationship who happens to stumble upon this video, get out. There is no excuse. There is no justification. There is no, it will get better. It will not. And I hate to say it that way, but I know that I know that I know it will not get better. But you absolutely can get better. Get out. I'm posting the number after this video to the number that you can call. The number that I called that did wonders for me. And if you are one of these women or men, please know that you're in my prayers. Thank you for watching. One love.